Hello, it's Lynn Watts here with Wyatt the Wonder Dog Books. And in this video today, I want to talk about the possibility of developing a side hustle, or we might call sort of a part-time means of income if you are a school counselor. And as we approach the summer break, this might be something that you are thinking about and wondering if you ought to perhaps explore during your time away from school. So let me just say a couple of things about that first, and then I'm going to make some suggestions about things that you might consider doing. I had a coach at one point, Dan Miller, who was an excellent coach. And he was not a school counselor. Let me just say that. He was a business coach. But he had the philosophy that you should always have several streams of income. And I have really found that to be some excellent advice. So even if school counseling is your major source of income and you love what you do and you plan to continue in it for a long time, I think it doesn't hurt to look into what are some other things that you might possibly enjoy doing and certainly make a profit or have as a side hustle um, at the same time. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is it gives you financial flexibility. Um, we've all probably experienced times when our jobs were in question. I know I certainly lived through the 2008 time frame when banks were closing and the economy was, in a free fall, and teachers were constantly being furloughed. We were all furloughed, and they were losing their job or being moved to different schools. It was a very tumultuous time. And I think that if you have some other source of income, even if it's minimal during a time like that, it can give you some sorts of reassurance. It can also help with all kinds of things. It can help pay student loans if you have those, or it could help in saving up for something that you're actually looking forward to and wanting to do. So having extra income can also be very helpful. It can provide some career stability and security in that if one area is failing or shuts down, then you can potentially uh, bulk up or really invest in your time and energy in that other area. So it's good to have something else that you can look into. And it also can be a type of personal growth. For instance, if you love counseling and you decide you might like to be a therapist, work for a private practice, for instance, or start your own private practice, you can do a lot of personal development that can enhance your ability for your side hustle, but it can also help you in your primary job as a school counselor. So there are lots of advantages to thinking about a career this way and not being so focused just on one thing. So I'm going to suggest, let's see, 3 different areas that you might consider. All of them, I think, are relevant for our work as school counselors. The first one is some sort of product sales. And certainly a lot of counselors and educators as well create products and sell them on Teachers Pay Teachers, but that's not the only forum where you can do that. You can certainly create your own website. I know someone who, as a child therapist, worked her way out of being a therapist, and now all she does is create products that other child therapists can use in their practice and has done very well at that. So any kind of product like that, if you happen to be creative and want to do something that you could sell on some other type of platform, like Etsy, something like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can sell your own personal product and create some income from that. So selling an actual product, whether digital or otherwise, is certainly one way of increasing your income. The pros for that is there's a lot of what we call passive income. I don't really know if it's passive or not because no matter what you're selling, you're going to have to put some energy into getting the word out about it. But it is true that you can be selling things even while you're working another job. The cons are that it does take upfront time to create. So especially if it's a real creative endeavor, if you decide you want to make jewelry or something like that, you're going to have to invest in the time and in the materials to do that. So do take all that into consideration when you're considering actually creating some type of product. The second thing that you can consider as a school counselor is you can consider doing some coaching, some counseling, consulting, or even tutoring. So all of these are just other ways of saying taking what you're already doing in the school and taking some piece or all of it out into the marketplace and seeing how you could use that. So this income is based totally on your skill set that you already have, your talents, your training and experience, and it could potentially develop into a primary source of income. So I know a number of school counselors who get some additional training and then they work in a private practice or an agency in the evening. And then eventually they prefer doing that and they may leave their day job and do that full time, or they may actually decide just to continue doing it part time. But it can provide some additional income as well. The pros for that is that you already have much of the necessary training. You might have to add some things, and that certainly can take a lot of time and money, but it is something that you already have much of the training for. It's high impact, and it can be very rewarding, of course. The cons are that you have to look at the ethical boundaries. You have to check into your district policies and see if they're going to allow that. And many times there's licensing and liability insurance that you might need. So you need to look into all the legal aspects of that. The final thing is you can do speaking, some kind of training or teaching. And there's a lot of different ways this could manifest. You could use something from your background, your history that makes a good motivational type of speaking. Identify a particular skill set and train others in that type of skill set. For instance, I've done a number of training in parenting workshops, and this is certainly something that you could investigate. I've done lots of training for foster family organizations that needed to train foster parents. So you can look into some related sort of agency and offer your skills there. You can also sometimes take your training and develop it into a class. There are lots of platforms where you could actually create a class that people could sign up for and pay for. You could create a parenting class, for instance. You can write a book, and then you can certainly market that. All of these things are going to require, obviously, a lot of time up front. And also the skill of developing or learning how to use these platforms or to write a book or to publish a book. There are a lot of additional things involved. So these are not just easy, go out one weekend and create this type of business. But if it's something that really captivates you or sounds interesting to you, it might be something that you want to spend a lot of additional time doing. So obviously, if you're doing speaking or training, the pro is that it allows you to impact and share your expertise with a bigger audience. The con is that it does require oftentimes some sort of travel and a lot of planning, and it might not fit into your schedule. So depending on where you are in your career, I do recommend that if you're going to develop this side hustle, the easiest thing to do is to look at your skills that you have now and to use those in developing something similar in some way to what you have now. So if by chance, for instance, you are a school counselor and you happen to be interested in cake decorating, let's say, and maybe even fashion, and you'd like to create a business around that, I think you certainly can explore that, but I think you can see that it's not going to all fit together and you're going to be going in a lot of different directions. So I do think that to be the most successful, it helps if you take what you already know and do and expand that into a different area. Now, obviously, if you feel like, wow, I made a big mistake getting into what I'm into now, or if you just feel like you're ready for a change, maybe it's not a big mistake. Maybe it's just like, I've done this for a while, I'm ready to do something else. The summer can certainly be a time where you can get started in that side hustle, see how it works, see if you get a lot of business, see what it involves in terms of time, product, um, um, marketing, if you can sell it. Make sure that there are people out there who are interested in buying at what you're offering, and go for it, give it a shot. So I would definitely encourage you to look into what you're interested in, um, how you can make a profit from that, and make sure that that's something that the market will bear. In other words, that people are interested in buying that particular product, whether it's counseling, coaching, teaching, or an actual course or book. So those are a lot of different ideas for you. And I certainly wish you a lot of luck. I think venturing out into a side hustle can certainly be very energizing. It can be a lot of fun. It can be very rewarding personally. And as always, thanks so much for listening. And thanks for the difference that you make in children's lives.